Good morning. You're listening to Rural Focus here on Triple M with your host, Dave Pettit. It's a warm welcome in for the Regional Ambassador for the RRR Network in the Goldfields region. Good morning to you, Tammee.
Good morning, David. Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you on Rural Focus. So can you tell us, what does being a Regional Ambassador mean to you?
Well, to me, it means bringing some of that RRR focus that's always been in the agriculture sector in the southwest corner further out into the broader regions. And specifically in the Goldfields, it means representing the diverse women that we have across this region and making sure that I can find an opportunity to speak to and understand them and what they need in our wider community. Because I have my networks that help inform some of the gaps, but I also recognise that those networks are limited. And I'm still in the process of gathering some information so that I can truly understand the complexity of our region.
That's fantastic. So, Tammee, what keeps you busy most days?
Well, I have the joy of being remote work from home. So most days I am at a computer, I am doing data, internet, IT support and those sorts of things. But the fantastic thing is that gives me the flexibility to go out into the community whenever I need to. I have a really flexible workspace. I can attend community events. I can go to the expos. I can have all of those touch points that are really important. I actively volunteer for St John Ambulance up here in my region. So I tend to emergencies and those sorts of things, which also are other really interesting touch points for our region and how it all functions as a wider whole.
That is excellent. So can you tell us some of the challenges for women living in the Goldfields?
Well, I've been here for 30 years now. I've raised a family here, and one of the really interesting things that I've come across in my time is that women traditionally in the Goldfields relocate here because they come with their partners, they come to raise families, but they've come from either the eastern states or down towards the southwest metro where they've had their family and friends in that support network. There's an increase in FIFO popularity because that lack of a village, that lack of togetherness that we feel becomes a real challenge for women. And on top of that, you've got the diversity we have for the needs of providing for the young women in the region, the professional women, the women with families, the Indigenous women, and it all becomes a really big, complex picture that I really want to understand better so that I can feed back the information to the RRR network about what our region really looks like. And I think it's a really big undertaking at this point.
Most definitely. It certainly sounds like it is. So, Tammee, tell us about the opportunities for living in the Goldfields. What do you love most about living there?
Well, what I love most about living here is that opportunity to, as I say, I raise my children here, and it's a really safe place to be able to let them to have a bit of freedom once they're old enough and really sort of get back to what we had 20 or 30 years ago. The opportunities are unique, and sometimes I think they're overlooked. We know there's a lot of jobs in our region. We know there's a lot of mining industry and local government and those sorts of things. But one of the interesting opportunities that is often overlooked is leveraging the experience of mining against future career goals. And when our younger generations think about mining, they look at machinery, digging up minerals, but the science, the sustainability, the administration, medical, there's a plethora of other opportunities that exist in traineeships, apprenticeships, uni leaver programs that take into account what a young person can use in the mining sector to take advantage of and then take that experience into their next career goals. And I really do like to point that out whenever I'm talking to our younger members of the community, that it is broader than what you might necessarily see of trucks driving around in the mines on the news.
But now I've heard on the grapevine a little rumour that RRR Network has just introduced an ambassador for the Esperance region because Esperance Goldfields is quite an area to cover. How different do you think the living experience is between the two areas?
Oh, I think it is really a big stretch. As I said, I work with St John Ambulance, and they also have that same Goldfields Esperance stretch of a region. And we have not, I sort of am based in what would be more classed as the Central Goldfields region. The demographic in our far northern Goldfields is remote, really remote communities, Indigenous communities, access to health problems and those sorts of things. And then when you go to what is classed as the Esperance region of the part of our region, you're looking at pastoral leases, you're looking at tourism as our primary demographic. There's retirement, sort of those sorts of things going on down there in that Esperance broader region. And it really is, from the perspective of someone living here, that women are a really crossover of sort of what we need, but also really, really broad reach of those differences that we face. And I'm really happy that there is a new representative to drill down into that Esperance needs specifically.
That is fantastic to hear. So, Tammee, thank you so much for joining us this morning and telling us all about the Goldfields region and what it's like to live there, and more importantly, how important it is to be the RRR Women's Network Regional Ambassador. Thanks for joining us this morning.
No worries, David. Thank you.
That was Tammee Keast, the RRR Network Goldfields Regional Ambassador, here on Triple M Rural Focus.